Welcome to 365 English. Listen to stories easily. We help you learn English happily through various stories. The speed is slow and the pronunciation is clear. The more you listen, the more you will enjoy it. If you like it, please like it, leave a message to chat, and don't forget to subscribe. From the Kashmir sky to the global market, the future development path of the J10C and Rafale Part 1. 1. In May 2025, a sudden air battle broke out in the sky above Kashmir. The Su-30 MKI was accidentally damaged in the western airspace, and the incident quickly made global headlines. People's attention shifted from the fighter itself to the equipment system behind it. At that moment, the Indian Air Force suddenly realized a serious problem. If the Su-30 MKI loses technical support, can the Rafale still be entrusted with the future? At the same time, the Pakistan Air Force has quietly turned its attention to the east. What they are looking at is a light fourth-generation-and-a-half fighter with lower cost and stronger modularity. The J10C is quietly becoming the new focus of the global military market. This technological shock that broke out in Kashmir quickly spread to the entire Asian and African market. Not only in Asia, the skis of the Middle East and Africa are also being redeployed. 2. China's J10C did not suddenly become popular. This light multi-purpose fighter has been in service the People's Liberation Army for many years. It is equipped with active phased array radar, digital avionics system, and domestic engine. Its biggest advantage is not speed or range, but cost-effectiveness. A former Pakistani Air Force general once commented privately, "It is an affordable F-16 but with an independent supply chain." This is not just a metaphor but a realistic survival strategy. When the game between major powers affects the export chain, small countries do not want the strongest but the most stable. Since 2023, China's military trade team has increased the promotion of J10C in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt have all received invitations to technical briefings. According to industry insiders close to the negotiations, an integrated solution of including whole machine plus training plus logistics support is priced much lower than the Rafale or F-16 Block 70 version. This means that in non-Western countries with tight finances, the J10C will become a truly importable fighter. 3. Relatively speaking, the French Rafale fighter takes a different path. It is heavier, more stable, more expensive, and more sophisticated. As a high-end product in the fourth-generation semi-standard, the Rafale has long been favored by Western allies. The total contract value of the 36 Rafale fighters purchased by India in 2016 exceeded $8 billion. On this basis, France continues to promote the F4 and F5 upgrade packages, with the goal of transforming the Rafale into a quasi-fifth-generation capability platform, including artificial intelligence-assisted systems, ultra-long-range ammunition launches, and data fusion optimization. The Rafale F5 standard is expected to start delivery in 2027, and the first customers may come from Europe. But its competitiveness in the global southern market is being seriously challenged. Algeria has expressed its willingness to purchase, but the price and maintenance threshold have always been in doubt. Although the Egyptian Air Force has used the Rafale for many years, it has shifted its orders to MiG and Chinese platforms in recent years. A frequently cited assessment is, Rafale is suitable for major countries with political backing, not developing countries with budget anxiety. This has led the French Defense Export Agency to re-examine the market positioning of Rafale. From the Kashmir sky to the global market, the future development path of J10C and Rafale Part 2 for the Kashmir confrontation in 2025 not only triggered geopolitical anxiety, but also activated the global fighter market. After this conflict, the discussion about Rafale in India has heated up again. Some members of parliament bluntly said, the maintenance cost of French weapons makes us breathless. At the same time, Pakistan is quietly testing a new improved model of J10C. It is reported that this model has increased anti-interference capabilities and optimized radar beams for high-altitude operations. An unnamed defense consultant once said, "This is not a simple purchase, it is a bet on a new air combat ecology." The technical cooperation between China and Pakistan is accelerating, from the original flight training to the current logistics and ammunition compatibility. The first live-fire performance of the J-10C in the Pakistani military exercise has exceeded expectations. It not only has a stable hit rate, but also is easy to maintain and can be restored to the ability to be deployed within 24 hours. These characteristics are exactly the actual combat standards that the air forces of Middle Eastern and African countries dream of. 5. Taking the Middle East as an example, the situation Yemen will become tense again in 2024. The UAE Air Force has proposed a new fighter procurement plan. They hope that the new aircraft can be deployed quickly, cost-controlled, and adapted to the satellite linkage system. The original US-made F-16 Block 60 has excellent performance, but is subject to US maintenance authorization. The UAE then opened secret talks with China, focusing on the long-range ammunition platform integration capability of the J-10C. In addition, Saudi Arabia and Iraq have also shown great interest in the J-10C. The Saudi Air Force commander publicly stated, "We are studying a more flexible, multi-purpose platform." For Saudi Arabia, although the Rafale is strong, it relies on French technical services. Once political friction occurs, logistics will become an air mine. On the other hand, for the J-10C, the Chinese military promises to export the entire technical support chain, even including flight simulators, electronic warfare modules, and radar calibration centers. This means that users can achieve autonomous operation of the Air Force without relying on third countries. In the context of sanctions often affecting US and European exports, this autonomy is extremely attractive. 6. If the Middle East market is a strategic highland, Africa is a potential blue ocean. As early as 2022, China launched Air Force cooperation framework negotiations with Nigeria and Ethiopia. Nigeria has introduced China's FTC-2000G fighter and achieved initial training results. Next, they are evaluating the feasibility of introducing the J-10C. The biggest attraction is that this fighter can use Chinese-made medium and long-range missiles. And these missiles are not restricted by the Western Arms Control System, and the price is also significantly lower than European and American standards. African countries usually have limited budgets and complex combat environments. They are particularly fond of fighters such as the J-10C, which are tough to fly and have universal parts. A former senior official of the South African Air Force even said, "The J-10C is a springboard for countries like us to enter the modernization of air combat." In comparison, the layout of Rafale in Africa is a bit difficult. In 2023, France pushed Guinea to purchase 12 Rafales, but the bid was eventually rejected due to cost. The full life cycle cost of a Rafale can almost buy twice the number of J-10Cs. Even if the quality and combat style are different, the price comparison is already glaring enough. At the same time, France is also actively seeking change. They realized that they could not maintain their fighter export share by relying solely on the European market, so they proposed the Rafale asymmetric export strategy. This means tailoring a simplified or economic version of the Rafale for each customer, such as the Rafale Light concept aircraft, removing some expensive modules to reduce prices. This strategy was well-intentioned, but encountered practical resistance. For example, Egypt expressed its desire to upgrade its existing Rafales but required prices to remain the same. The French defense industry responded with a wry smile. Customers want a high-end experience at an economical package price. In addition, France hopes to enter the Southeast Asian market with the help of the Rafale F-5. Vietnam, the Philippines, and Indonesia have all received visits from the Rafale team. But these countries are also evaluating the export model of the Chinese-made J10C. A Vietnamese military official once said, "The J10C is not just a fighter but a complete air combat ecosystem." He was referring to the domestic radar station, ground command system, and electronic jammer behind it. This makes many developing countries feel that the J10C is not just buying an aircraft, but an air control system. 8. Against the background of the global military trade structure being rewritten, another variable cannot be ignored: political neutrality. Many countries are deterred from American or French equipment precisely because of the political conditions behind it. For example, U.S. arms sales often include restrictions on use and upgrades require approval. And French equipment has a no resale to third countries clause. In contrast, the equipment currently sold by China's military industry has fewer additional terms and is more flexible. This is also the reason why some politically unstable countries in the Middle East and Africa are more willing to purchase Chinese products. They want fighter jets, not the political bills behind them. From this point of view, the J10C may continue to expand its influence in the next 5 years. The upgrade path of Rafale must find a new balance between maintaining high performance and reducing costs. Future competition is no longer just a technical duel, but a competition of strategic culture. Whoever can understand the real dilemma of the developing world is more likely to gain a firm foothold in the market. From the Kashmir sky to the global market, the future development path of the J10C and Rafale Part 3. 9. The world military aircraft market is no longer just an arms trade, but a mixed competition of politics and technology. The J10C and Rafale are two typical representatives, reflecting the military philosophy of the two systems behind them. The J10C emphasizes commonality, modularity, and battlefield adaptability, while the Rafale pursues extreme performance, high integration, and information dominance. The collision of these two ideas determines the main tone of military trade in the next few decades. India chose Rafale because of its integrated strike system and Western ally status. But some people also pointed out that France is not a leading country in NATO and has limited strategic support. In contrast, Pakistan's choice of J10C is not purely price-based, but more importantly, China is willing to transfer some technology and provide system-level military assistance. For example, radar tactical band optimization, flight control interface openness, and domestic long-range missile docking. This whole set of system empowerment has allowed many small and medium-sized countries to see the realistic possibility of Air Force autonomy. Not only at the Air Force tactical level, the strategic significance of J10C is also gradually emerging. For example, in the Deep Blue exercise, held in a country in East Africa, J10C undertook battlefield guidance tasks and cooperated with local radar stations to accurately guide ground multiple rocket launchers to carry out long-range saturation strikes. This cross-service linkage model quickly attracted the interest of defense departments in many African countries. Many countries have realized that J10C is not an isolated weapon, but a system weapon platform. It can become a central node for information warfare, electronic warfare, missile coordination, and reconnaissance suppression. Although the Rafale is more advanced in technology due to its high degree of integration, it is difficult for users to effectively modify it according to their own ground facilities during use. This makes the Rafale encounter an adaptation bottleneck in terms of technology transformation and tactical implementation. Therefore, even if France continues to launch the Rafale F5 upgrade plan, it is difficult to conceal users' concerns about the limitations of logistics and integrated systems. In the final analysis, it is not that the performance is not strong enough, but that it is too authoritarian. Then, back to the global market, this J10C vs Rafale game actually extends to two trends. The first is multi-source military procurement, and more countries no longer purchase weapons from a single country. The second is strategic balance, and some countries try to form a complementary structure with a combination of Chinese and French fighters. For example, Algeria has recently been rumored to be evaluating the possibility of dual-line procurement of the J10C and Rafale. They hope to introduce more autonomous modules and low-maintenance cost weapons into the French-dominated Air Force structure. Another example is Indonesia, which has publicly stated that it is considering purchasing both the J10C and the French Rafale. Behind this technical compromise is the desire of emerging countries' air forces to have it all. They are unwilling to become vassals of any military group, but are working hard to build a defense structure that truly belongs to them. This means that the winner of the future fighter market is not who is the strongest, but who is the most integrated. Whoever's system can match the user's existing equipment will have the right to speak in the market. One of the disadvantages of the Rafale is that it is too French. Highly integrated, proprietary standards, and overly dependent on French maintenance personnel. The advantage of the J10C is that it can be semi-open to users, such as allowing local assembly, independent procurement of ammunition, and even customization of software interfaces. This gives many countries a sense of sovereignty rather than being tied to a high-cost chain. At the same time, Chinese military enterprises are also keenly deploying international industrial chains. In the Middle East, many Chinese companies have established ground training centers for J10C users. In Africa, some countries have even introduced simplified domestic radar stations and long-range optoelectronic equipment to cooperate with the J10C to achieve a simplified air defense attack closed loop. China's military trade shows a posture of going with you for a long time, rather than the traditional thinking of relying on yourself after delivery. This is why China's fighter military trade has expanded rapidly after 2024. In some areas, the J10C is gradually becoming the AK-47 in the sky. Although it is not the most expensive, it is the most practical and down-to-earth air combat main force. Looking at the direction of the French Rafale, the upgraded version of the F5 is indeed exciting. According to public information, the F5 will add AI-assisted strikes, over-the-horizon perception, and satellite access interfaces. But can these systems be open to developing countries? Will a new round of high-maintenance costs be generated? France has not given a clear answer so far. This has also become the data threshold on the road to the expansion of the Rafale market. The more advanced you are, the less I can afford it. This is the true voice of many potential buyers. In the next 10 years, whoever can first solve the contradiction between performance and affordability will become the leader of the new round of air combat weapons. In other words, this is not only an air combat revolution, but also a conceptual revolution. In the past, people were interested in whose aircraft flew farther, whose radar was stronger, and whose missiles were faster. Now more countries care about whether the system is controllable, learnable, and modifiable. The J10C is taking a pragmatic step on this path, and if the Rafale does not want to be marginalized, it must also step out of the elite island and enter the user reality. This fighter competition, from the Kashmir sky to the global market, is not the end, but the prelude to a new pattern, when Pakistan's J10C and India's Rafale faced off over the Himalayas. What we saw was the collision of two worldviews, two military-industrial logics, and two international positionings. Perhaps in the near future, in the early morning of the African grasslands and the dusk of the Southeast Asian islands, there will be these fighter planes roaring by. They are not just weapons, but also iron-winged witnesses of the changes in the global order. You did a great job today. Thank you for watching 365 English. Don't forget to like, leave a message, and comment. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.